Hi, it's Papa. Today I'd like to read a little bit more from the chapter called The Signal. Remember that Alex was an older man on Moose Factory Island, and he had just left for his hunting camp across the river on the Quebec side of the river, as it was called, just before the Moose River broke up. Because the river broke as water built upstream, the southern end of the Moose River broke long before the river at the island. 20 miles south of the island was the tiny town of Moose River Crossing. Half a century before, it had been a bustling lumber camp. Now there were a few homes and a store next to a bridge that crossed the river. Moose River Crossing was the only telephone contact along the river south of the island for almost 200 miles. At breakup, that phone contact was vital. Someone at the store would call to the island to announce that the river had broken. Within 3 days, breakup would progress to Moose Factory Island. The force of the flood would push huge blocks of ice across lowlands, sweeping trees, earth, and houses with it. Entire islands were cut away to be rebuilt farther upstream as the flood subsided. Alex knew this and had built his cabin on ground high enough to avoid even the highest flood. Alex was Métis, mixed blood. His heritage was Cree and European. The Crees had lived in northern Ontario since before memory. Europeans had come to the country a century and a half before to convert and trade. Half the population of the island had this ancestry. Regardless of heritage, the land and the river were unforgiving of those who did not understand how to exist in the wilderness. For Alex and others who did understand, the land provided what was needed to live. Breakup was spectacular the year that Alex left the basement project to stay at his camp. It happened in mid-afternoon, so the entire village turned out to watch in awe. As the flood rose, the pressure built up behind the ice until it exploded, throwing house-sized chunks into the air. Breakup moved foot by foot toward the mouth of the river to the thunder of exploding ice and the cheers of village onlookers. It soon became apparent that there was too much water pushing the broken ice. The river was rising fast. Residents knew exactly what was happening. The push of water from upriver had forced the broken ice into a natural dam at the river's mouth, holding back the exaggerated flood. Town officials called an armed forces base 400 miles to the south, asking for assistance. Before the night was out, the ice dam had been bombed, allowing the river to flow into the James Bay. The water subsided, making unnecessary dozens of canoes tied to porches all over the island. The entire drama had taken only 4 days from the first call placed at Moose River Crossing until the river's flow had been released. There was no power on the island for another week because ice had toppled a transmission tower 2 miles upriver. For that week, the island was thrown back in time. Those who depended on wood for heat opened their homes to those who did not, as warm spring days faded with the setting sun to frigid spring nights. Street lights were dark. The soft glow of candles or the undulating light of oil lamps filled every home. Alex knew that breakup was unusual. He watched the flood wash away trees well away from the normal spring flow. Knowing the island was prepared for the emergency, he cut wood, hunted partridge, snared rabbits, and enjoyed the solitude of his hunting camp. Alex allowed himself one modern convenience, a portable radio, because he believed his beloved Maple Leafs were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Each night they played, he sat back in his threadbare easy chair, intent on the commentary. While walking to the church the second Sunday after breakup, as I was watching chunks of ice drift by, I thought I saw smoke rising across the river. The river was over half a mile wide on the east side of the island. I stopped and strained to see. There was no smoke. After the service, as I was walking home, I looked again at that spot on the opposite bank where I thought I had seen smoke. A line of smoke was clearly visible against the green of the trees behind. I watched for a few moments before walking on. By the time I arrived home, A glance across the river revealed a large plume of white-gray smoke easily visible across the distance. It looked like a small forest fire. Next time, we'll hear about what caused the smoke. Until then, I hope that you have a good day and that you love one another.